Today we're going to talk about red flags and whether or not you should give second chances when there are repeated red flag violations. And so there's SD has come across this show on Netflix. What's it called? Love is Blind?
Love is Blind.
Love is Blind. And so I guess this is one of the things they have discussed or approached. So tell us about this and what's going on.
Yeah. So we all know there are many popular dating reality shows airing in today's society, whether on cable or on Netflix. And we have shows including Too Hot to Handle, Love Island, Love is Blind, and Dating Around. Now, with Love is Blind, there have been a big incident between two contestants, which we will get into. And for those who don't know much of the show, don't worry, I got you. I'll explain what it is. So Love is Blind is a show where single men and women try to find a match to fall in love. But here's the twist. Without ever seeing each other face to face. So both contestants are in a pod and they don't see each other and they just talk. And they must connect in a emotional...
Yeah, that was like we were talking earlier, is it the match game from like the 1950s?
Yeah.
I think that was the original origin of that type of thing. I mean, back in the day, this is like in black and white, and so you got a partition. And what's cool is when you watch some of those old episodes, some of the most famous actors and actresses in history, that was one of the things they got their start on. You can see when they're like in their early 20s. And so you got a partition, you got the guy on one side, the girl on the other, and then you got the host that talks to them, and all they can do is hear each other. And so they ask questions of one another. It's pretty... And so this is kind of like a modern take on that kind of concept.
Yeah, modern take without a host. So this time it's just those two with a private and like Netflix is the only one watching it. So the contestants must connect in an emotional level to attempt to conquer the physical attraction. So that's what the show was about.
So they just hear one another? They don't actually see each other?
They don't see each other. You have to ask different questions, a series of questions to know.
And how long do they not see each other for? Is it going on for days, or is it like they talk for a little bit and then they meet?
So in the season 2, when I was looking, because I don't watch a lot Love is Blind, but when I looked at the pictures. So the first 2 is like they're in the pod. So I believe it's like 2 days, and that's when they finally meet each other, and that's when they can propose and then build a future together. So so
they're supposed to propose and get married after how many days?
I think it's like 2 days.
So
from what I was seeing Netflix.
What's interesting about that is I had a guy that like back in, this was in my late 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. Actually, probably all throughout my 30s. Now I think about it. So back when I lived in Orlando, we used to go out and we had a pretty big group of people, VIP tables and stuff. And you see different people that are successful out. And you get to know the same guys. And there was this one guy that was on one of those shows where it was like one girl and then like a bunch of dudes. And like he was the guy that won, and they ended up actually getting married. It was funny seeing him. And it was like the show was running. Mm-hmm. And they had since split up. They didn't get along. And I remember seeing him out downtown and talking about it. And it was funny. Because they got married in real life. And then later didn't work out pretty quickly.
How long were they together before breaking up?
Well, they had to keep it quiet. Because I remember when he got back, he told us that he didn't stick with her. But he couldn't talk about that publicly because it would have given away the show. And he could have got sued and all that stuff. Mm. But it was a matter of months. I think it was like 5 or 6 months total. Because we all saw him get married on national television. And then there he is 4 or 5 months later. He's out partying with us again, back in the game.
If I believe when it comes to reality shows, it's whatever the audience wants. And like the production gives what the audience wants. Like marriages and those big ceremonies and stuff like that.
A lot of it's contrived. Yeah. Contrived controversy. Because humans thrive on that. When there's drama, it's like when you pull up to the cash register at the grocery stores, you got all those celebrity gossip magazines, and people want to hear that stuff. Mm-hmm. That's why people are into the Kardashians and stuff. Mm-hmm. The red flags here. What are we getting to?
So according to the Insider, we are going to know more about Shake. His first name and last name is a little complicated to pronounce, but in the show he's known as Shake. That's his nickname for the show. So from the start, Shake was subverting the purpose of the Love is Blind social experiment for people to fall in love and find their spouses based purely on their personalities and not based on their physical appearances.
So it says, while speaking with the women in their separated pods, Shake asked prodding questions that seemed designed to give him an idea of what each woman's physical body looked like. Hey, us guys are visual creatures, and we want to know that she looks good. Because if not, the general is going to have a hard time standing at attention if you're not turned on by her. As the old saying goes, it goes back probably hundreds of years, who knows how long. Men fall in love through their eyes, women through their ears. It's so true. Because it's the woman's physical beauty that gets us interested and enchanted, and we want to know more about her. But if she's not attractive at all, we're not going to be that interested. That's life. And people, what's interesting is people tend to be attracted to other people who have the same facial structure as them. You just look at Tom Brady and Giselle. If you look at their eyes and their nose and their facial structures, a lot of similarities there. So he says, I love buying clothes for girls. He asked Diana, one of the contestants, what's your size? Oh, that's pretty clever, actually. She responded with a laugh and said, what the fuck? If she was petite, she would have been like, well, I'm a size, because she'd have been proud. Is she petite or no?
Ayana wasn't. I don't think so.
So instead of giving a size, she says, what the fuck? So that's the interesting thing. I mean, it works. I mean, at the end of the day, he's like, because if a girl's hot and she knows she's hot, they're going to post Instagram pictures. They know their dress sizes, and they'll be very proud of that, especially if they work out and take care of themselves. Mm-hmm. And when someone doesn't give you a straight answer, then right away, you know, oh, obviously she's not petite. So that crosses her off the list. He says he also told another woman that he gets along best with individuals that do work out.
So he likes...
Nothing wrong with that. Probably something I would say. It's because the reality is if you're fit and in shape, because I've had this experience, and then you date a girl who may be beautiful and maybe was gifted with great genetics, but she doesn't work out within a matter of months of you guys being together, living together, sleeping together, waking up together, showering together, you're not going to be working out either. It just happens.
Now, you can also read this because then he meets Dipti, which he calls Deeps. That's his nickname for her. That's how he calls her.
She looks petite.
And same thing, he asks these weird questions.
I mean, at the end of the day, it takes discipline to be in shape. And men and women both recognize that if somebody is in shape and they take care of themselves and they work out, it's because you have to be disciplined day in and day out, week after week, month after month, year after year, in my case, decade after decade. When I look at all of my high school buddies, which I spent a lot of time with, a bunch of them this past weekend, most of them are overweight and out of shape, some of them significantly. And you can love your friends, but at the end of the day, it's a tragedy because you know that they're not taking as good a care of themselves, and unfortunately, they won't be around as long. And that's the thing that hurts the most as you get older and you watch your friends, the people that you've been with you for many decades, and they don't love themselves enough to take care of themselves and work out and exercise. And so you're going to lose them many decades before they should have passed away. And so just telling people, you know, big is beautiful and that's fine, it's like there's consequences to that. It's common sense, and it's a scientific fact that if you take better care of your body and you eat healthier and you're more petite, you're going to live a healthier, happier, longer life. And why wouldn't you want that? I mean, sometimes you got to give people tough love. That's the business I'm in. I got to be honest and real with people. It doesn't serve them to blow sunshine up their ass because they got plenty of people in their lives that are already doing that. And I have people at the beginning of the phone sessions that are like, Corey, if you think I'm being a bitch, just tell me. If you think I'm being a pussy, tell me. I want to know. Everybody in my life is telling me everything's going to be fine, and I need somebody to be real with me. And that's why they pay me what they pay me, because I'm going to be real with them. And at the end of the day, what I teach works.
True honesty is what I think people need to hear also.
Yep.
Because a lot of people will cover up, no, everything's okay, no, but sometimes we need to hear the actual.
So in my opinion, that's pretty clever what that guy did about asking those probing questions because, I mean, he's vetting these girls as well. Just because they're on a TV show doesn't mean, because the whole idea is that, oh, you're going to fall in love with her personality and she may be as big as a house, but because you love her personality, you'll live happily ever after, even if you're fit and trim. It's like, that's not how it works in the real world. I mean, there are some guys, I've got friends that like big women and they're fit and in amazing shape. But that's them. That's their kink. Mm-hmm. But most people that are fit and shape take care of themselves. They want somebody that does the same thing, because you don't want your partner dying or having health problems. Because again, the more overweight and unhealthy you are, the more health problems you're going to have, especially as you get older. And who wants to spend all their time at doctor's offices when you get older? Which is anybody that has old people, friends, family, know that they're constantly at the doctors all the time, getting tests and this and that.
It's very overwhelming for them.
Yeah.
So it's not really
not exercising, not taking proper care of your body, doing cardio. It has consequences.
I agree for that. That's why when it comes to relationships, you can say his part on him. But if there's a couple that want to do right, they can work out together. So this is what I found.
Oh, this is
and you
hilarious.
Can read all of this because this is her quotes, and that's what he says and all this kind of stuff.
The way the episode was edited has Shake's introductory segment ending. And what is this from? Insider.com?
Yes.
And with him, and so he asked Dipti, his soon-to-be fiance, if she would enjoy being on a guy's shoulders at a music festival. But she said yes. He then got to the point. Well, I have trouble picking you up. That's genius. That's awesome. I love that.
I don't know.
You got, the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of the questions that you ask yourself and that you ask other people, especially somebody you're potentially going to marry. So what's the deal? That they agree to get married before they ever see each other?
Yeah,
and then they're supposed to meet at the altar and either go through it or not.
They met each other for the first time after the pod because they agreed to see each other, and he looked like he was all for her. Like the episode goes that they like walk to each other, run to each other, and he gets a little too handsy and he starts like grabbing her butt and stuff like that. He kisses her, which is like, it was like weird. The audience felt like it was uncomfortable. I thought it was uncomfortable when I saw a clip of it. But they're supposed to meet, and then when he thinks he sees like a future with her, he proposed and she accepted, and they were getting married. And that's how throughout the whole episode and the moving forward episodes, they meet each other's families, and they talk about how they want to be together. But then you have Shake acting iffy, that in a way. But with this, even though you said it's clever, she did respond that comes off very superficial, right?
Men are visual creatures. Never apologize for what you want.
Well, it did say even though she correctly identified this as a red flag from Shake, the man later showed remorse for asking that question and seemed to self-reflect. And that's when she gave him a second chance. But people thought, like, when you look at the articles
so
and you see about
she said
Shake,
that it came off as very superficial?
Yeah.
If that had been me, I would have just said, hey, look, men are visual creatures. We want a beautiful woman. I want a woman that I'm proud of. And, I mean, same thing. You'd want a guy that you're attracted to. If you're not attracted to me, I don't want to be with you. If you don't think I'm hot, if I don't get y'all excited, if I don't give you butterflies.
Why make it so obvious on television? Like, why would do it so obvious on television? Because I feel like the audience is going to make you...
Well, think about from this perspective. Do you really want to go all the way through, and then you're thinking, oh, I'm going to marry this girl, and then you finally see her, and you're like, eh. Or she's like, eh. You want to know.
So it goes, she accepts his proposal, and then two finally meet for the first time. And Shake said in a couple of episode that he was going to grab her ass, and when the episode hit, he literally walked to her. They walked to each other, and his hands was everywhere. And the audience found that a bit disturbing that his hands was doing that.
Well, she's already says she wants to marry him based on what she's heard, right?
Yes, but...
So it was supposedly fat phobic, and that wasn't very nice that you wanted to know if I was obese or not. But at the end of the day, because he was a man and he spoke his truth, she still wanted to marry him.
Yeah, but okay, I think she did, obviously, but it does seem a little disrespectful. You don't want to try to lift a chick up on your shoulders. It's going to break your back. It's just reality. But it wouldn't be a disrespectful way to approach your fiance for you're seeing for the first time to touch
I don't know
her ass.
what conversations have they been having.
No.
When the cameras have been off. What are they saying to one another? Are they having kind of phone sex, or they call it pod sex or whatever? They're talking nasty, dirty things, and maybe he even told her what he was going to do, and then he went and did it, and it was something between them. And of course, no matter what happens, the TV's going to we can make some controversy out of this. It's inappropriate to grab her butt the first time he meets his fiance. It's a TV show. It's entertainment. It's supposed to be outrageous.
I can see that for entertainment, yes. Now we get into Shake's comments.
Emotionally intimate.
This is what I'm going to leave to
Lots of
you so
heavy
you can
cuddling.
read, because you have the quote of hers, you got his, and you just like...
I think he's a genius. The way he went about it is awesome. That's my man. He is vetting his women. I like it. What else are you going to do? I mean, that's common sense. You're trying to get an idea if you're like, I'm going to go on national television and potentially marry one of these girls. How bad is it going to look if I say, let's get married, and then I meet her and I'm like, oh, shit. And I got to do that in front of the world.
Yeah, I mean...
You know what I mean?
Still...
That would be a no for me. I would
agree, but
like
I mean...
I'm never getting married anyways again, so maybe a civil marriage, but I'm not going to involve the government. There's no need to.
Government. Marriage is difficult. It's a commitment. But, okay. So Deepti says she and Shake have been, quote, emotionally intimate with, quote, lots of heavy cuddling, but decided against sleeping together.
She decided. Or maybe he wasn't man enough to pull it off. Maybe he had no game.
Nah, it could be
we have lots
also.
of time. I guess he wasn't that smooth.
Quote,
he was probably a little aggressive, a little handsy, turned her off.
That's what I mean. When the first time you've seen her on television, soon to be
You can
fiance,
get away with that if you know what you're doing, but he obviously wasn't smooth.
If you see the episode, you get like I can show you the episode.
I'd have
cringy.
to watch the video, and then I'd be like, oh, okay. Because like when I watch these dating shows, especially like The Bachelor type, I can watch in the first episode, I listen to every single one of the dudes talk with the girl. And I watch their interaction, and I can always tell who's going to win. It's so obvious. It's not even close.
I cringe. Everybody cringed. I cringed when I watched it.
So if it cringed, it's obvious he wasn't smooth. And so therefore, of course, he gets rejected. So I just watched their interaction when they first met. He grabs a butt. It's like you can tell by the way she kissed him, body language. She was into it. She liked it. He was very manly. He told her what he was going to do to her, and he dominated her and took control, and she liked it. She liked it. Don't matter with the controversy. She liked it. Her body language was like...
I don't know. I don't think her body language was all right.
No, she was into it.
I cringed.
She wasn't repulsed. She didn't back away. She was like, ooh. She knew he was going to... But I don't know what happened after that. So supposedly they didn't sleep together. But then again, since this is TV, even if they did sleep together, they'd probably lie to us about it.
Yeah, TV won't tell us the whole full story. But Shake told a different story from what Deepti said. So in a side conversation with Jarrett, who was another contestant, he calls Deepti the, quote, #1 hype girl, end quote, he could ever ask for. Jarrett doesn't hide his shock, and the women catch wind that the duo is talking about Deepti. And then he says, quote, I'm not physically attracted to her, Shake says, in a more hushed tone.
Who said that he said that? Did he actually say that on camera?
Oh, he did.
Oh, shit.
It feels like I'm with my aunt.
So he's not that into her then.
So when it comes to the Netflix show, everything you say is going to be recorded. When it's filming, if you're in any spot, the bathroom or whatever, everything's recorded. And he was in a side conversation, which you see with Jarrett. And there was like pictures too. And he continues to say, she reminds me so much of my aunt, he tells a fellow contestant. Yeah,
so he's not feeling it. That's why. No. That's why they didn't hook up. He's like, it feels like my aunt. So he likes her. She's attractive, but at the end of the day, he had psyched himself up so much, and after he spent more time with her, he's like, it happens.
There was a part where I read in the article that he saw her for the first time in a swimsuit, and he was not amused. Yeah. His mood changed. His mood, the way he looked at her, changed for sure. But I think, for him, it's physical attraction.
It happens. I can tell the whole premise is they're trying to prove to people that love is blind, and you'll love them for the personality. And it's like, hey, man, if there ain't sexual chemistry and attraction, it's not going to happen.
But with Shake, he wanted a younger woman.
Doesn't matter. That. It's like, with him saying that it's like his aunt, he's just not that into it.
So... as we saw from the video earlier.
And she says, why am I trying to prove to this person to see me? I'm done trying. I'm over this. I just need to move forward and figure out what I want instead of trying to figure out why he doesn't want me. Do I even want him? She wants him, of course.
No.
Dippy said no to Shake at the altar the day they were supposed to get married. Did
He told
he
himself-
actually propose to her?
Yeah, in the episode that he proposed and
So he was going along with it.
I don't know.
Because if you look at his actions,
But see, look what he says before.
if you're thinking seriously about marrying a girl and you think she's the hottest thing you've ever seen and she's knocking your socks off, you're never going to compare her to your aunt.
Yeah. But before you...
Those guys do
the
that shit
quote.
all the time. They propose because they want the prize money or whatever it is, and then they can just dip out after. But reading those things, it's like, he wasn't that into it.
What do you think the first quote, though? Because before
maybe
the
if we
final
started
dance-
having sex, maybe those feelings of always wanting to be in each other's arms would form.
That's him saying that.
Yeah.
So he obviously...
Well, she didn't feel safe and comfortable opening
No.
up and letting him have his way with her because it's obvious she could tell he wasn't that into it.
But see, here's a funny thing too. After when she said no in front of the like audience who were there, which was like the family and like the contestants, he had like this surprising look where he showed no interest. He didn't respect her feelings, and he told like the band to continue playing. Like he was celebrating.
You can't make your heart feel something it doesn't feel. That's the bottom line. He didn't feel it. He wasn't feeling it.
He didn't, but like showing what he
wasn't
did
feeling
actions,
it.
it was just so rude. Like damn, like give
Yeah,
the
the
girl a
comment
break.
about the aunt is like that gives it all away.
Now, with those comments of the aunt, why would a man, like, knowing that he's going to be filmed, say things like that? Knowing that
The truth comes out.
it always
It
comes
slips
out no
out.
matter what, especially in reality
And with the
TV.
cameras around all the time, the words are going to whoop.
Now, but the worst part with these comments is...
And just listening to her words, she feels that she was obviously rejected by him. He didn't want her, wasn't that into her.
he wasn't
And so
supportive.
therefore, if he's proposing to her, he's just doing it to win the prize or whatever.
The clout.
He didn't make her feel wanted. If he was really as into her as he portrayed when he met her,
Mm-hmm.
then he would have never said the thing about the aunt, and they would have hooked up.
So when this was going on, the audience, had their opinions, went crazy, and part of the audience is the families. So you have the brothers of Dipti, you have her parents seeing stuff like this and hearing this man talk so much like rude things about their daughter. And the family of the soon-to-be bride heard the awful comments of Sheikh throughout the season and finally spoke out.
Yeah, you don't want to hear somebody talking shit about your baby girl.
No.
That's understandable.
So Deepti's brother Sunny and his partner Hina posted on Instagram on February 27th. It was a picture of Dipti, of his sister, in one slide. And then the second slide was... Hold on.
She's a cute girl.
She's pretty. Don't get me wrong. She's an attractive woman. Like I've seen that, and she has like this gorgeous smile.
She's
it's just very
exotic, too.
confusing why he had to do stuff like that. But here's the Instagram post. So this is her. That was the day of the wedding. I believe so.
The wedding that didn't happen.
Well, did it not?
Again, you got to remember, this is all played up for the cameras, and
Mhm.
even when people aren't feeling certain things, they'll film it a certain way, and then they edit all that stuff and post. So it's, but like I said, with people's words and their actions, don't matter what the video showed. It's that tells you everything.
Mm-hmm.
The way she felt about him and what he said about her, he wasn't that into her. That's obvious, and she felt that way.
Mm-hmm. So this is the words that.
But good for her
brother
for
wrote.
saying no to his proposal, because she could tell he wasn't sincere and authentic.
When she started to get to know him more throughout the episodes, she realized that. So I think that's what gave her that confidence.
Good
to
for her.
finally say
A woman
no.
with self-esteem would have kept dating him, hoping she's going to change her and make her love her. But she was
No.
strong enough to say no.
Yeah.
Good for her.
It's a good thing.
It's hard to do that. Men and women both struggle with that, saying no to somebody.
Yeah, you think
I
like they're the
struggle with
one.
it. I got married and I didn't want to get married, but I went along with it.
How long was it for?
We were together. We were married for a year. We were together for like 3 or 4.
So it was better without marriage. Like the life before marriage was much better than the life.
Well, I just
married.
deep down didn't want to get married. That's what it felt. But everybody around me is getting married, and I didn't have any good examples at home.
Mm-hmm.
And all my friends, especially the women I work with, including Jennifer, I was like, "Oh, you guys so cute together. You gotta get married." Oh, you just got cold feet. It'll pass once you're married. Ooh.
So it's just your surroundings telling you and like what you saw.
Yeah, I
observed.
was like 25. I didn't know I didn't know anything back then.
25, young for that still.
Yeah.
Young. You never look back for another marriage.
So when I saw him kissing her and talking about how into her he was, I was like, I could. And then to see in the comments he said later, it's like he was talking himself into it. In his mind, he believed that it was going to be amazing, and then afterwards, he wasn't feeling it.
When you see
it sucks when you realize that, especially you start dating somebody, and you have a connection, you really like each other at first, and then after you spend a little time together, you're like,
I was going to say that, yes.
It sucks because you get excited, and then you're like, oh.
That's why you shouldn't excite yourself. You should just like not like expect anything the first time and just go.
But at the end of
the
day, these are like game show type things, and there's prizes. If you get married, it's like you're going to get extra money. So guys all the time will go ahead. They're financially incentivized to go through it and get the end result that the show wants. Mm-hmm. And many times, like my friend, that's the same thing he experienced. He went through with it, and the reality is she wasn't that into him, and he couldn't tell.
Ooh. Love is
blind. So she jerked
then.
him around.
Yeah, when you're with a partner and you don't really see much, it's true. Love is blind. You can't really tell if the person's really into you or not. So